My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. I'm going to break down the entire UFC Vegas 64 fight card, giving you my picks, predictions, and bets. Before I jump in, head on over to WeWantPicks.com and become a premium member. It is only $10 a month, and with that, you get every single bet that we place the very second that we place them, hopefully getting you some closing line value. You get a DraftKings optimizer. You get all of our picks, all of our plays, fantasy information like DraftKings ownership, DraftKings player ranking, FanDuel player ranking, prize picks props, underdog fantasy props, Monkey Knife Fight Knockout Kings. The list goes on, an endless amount of exclusive content for premium members to help you make money watching these fight. WeWantPicks.com. At the top, click Become a Member. It's only $10 a month. One mediocre weekend will pay for one or many months of membership. And while you're there, head on over to WeWantPicks.com/bets. We have 5 different online sportsbook partners. Sign up with any one of them, make a deposit, and I will send you $50 as a thank you. So it's WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up, make a deposit. We'll send you $50. You can choose from any of them or all of them. They all have their pros and cons. Check them out. Sign up, make a deposit. I'll send you $50. Coming off the heels of a very interesting UFC Vegas 63, some good fights, some controversial fights, a bullshit decision, a weird ending in the main event. All in all, decent fights. We've got this fight card to hold us over till UFC 281. So let's go ahead and jump right in. And opening up the card, we have Ramona Pascual taking on Tamires Vidal. Ramona Pascual, she's big for this weight class, and she has fought at 135 all the way up to 150. Style-wise, she is a Muay Thai fighter, which she's got that traditional Muay Thai guard and techniques. Earlier in her career, she used to struggle with the takedowns and the grappling, but she seems to sort of plug some of those holes, and she goes to the takedowns pretty often. She is coming off that loss to Jocelyn Edwards, where she had actually success striking. She even hurt Jocelyn in the first round, but she started to struggle closing the distance and then eventually gassed out. Tamires Vidal is a strong grappler who immediately starts working and looking for takedowns. She's got typical big overhands to sort of set those up, and then she presses you to the cage, and then she's looking for control and trying to get you down. She's dangerous on top and off of her back, and she's just always looking for something. Her striking is almost non-existent, though, but she is tough enough to eat those shots while coming in. She's also making her UFC debut here. I think I've picked Ramona Pascual a few times, and I've been wrong. But in my defense, she's had her moments in both of those fights. She had solid grappling in her UFC debut, solid striking in her last fight. The problem is she doesn't really have the cardio to stick to anything, and she's not great at any one thing to sort of force that. So with that being said, she is well-rounded. She's tough, and while she's not a world beater at one thing, she's good enough at all the things that she can hang. I do feel like this is pretty simple, though. If Ramona can avoid the takedowns, she wins this fight. She should be the better striker. We've seen how tough how tough she is in some of these fights. I know Vidal's record says that she only has one loss, but she's got 2. She lost to Aylin Perez. She just looked like absolute dog crap trash in that fight, and then she won with some nonsense there. I'm honestly not sure why the UFC even signed Vidal. I don't see anything special. She's not like amazing on the ground. Her stand-up is pretty awful. Her takedowns are pretty awful. This is a tough fight to pick because I do think if she gets the takedowns and she's on top, she'll control and dominate this fight. I also think Ramona's going to be the much better striker. Ramona, her takedown defense so far has been solid. She only defended 3. I think I got to go with Ramona Pascual here. Not because I think she's going to be a contender, but I just don't know how Vidal got signed. I really don't. If I'm missing something, send me a video of her fighting where she looks really good because I haven't found it. That takes us to Jake Hadley taking on Carlos Candelario. Jake Hadley's a pretty well-rounded guy. He's got solid boxing and timing on his feet. He's got decent takedowns and then aggressive BJJ on the ground. Hadley's a very good fighter. He's got titles in multiple regional promotions. He can strike, he can grapple, he can sort of stick to a high pace for 15 full minutes. And he's coming off that loss to Alan Nascimento, where he did give up 2 takedowns and almost 2 full rounds of control time. Carlos Candelario, he's a Northeast guy like myself. And he's been coming up for a while. I've been hearing that name for a while. I know a lot of people that have been training with him for a long time. And He's one of the only people to ever lose on the Contender Series, but still get a contract out of it. Style-wise, he's pretty good everywhere. He's got very good hands. He does have Golden Glove boxing experience. He's got solid BJJ. He's competed in tournaments there. And up until his 4-year layoff in competition, he was undefeated. He was coming off that loss now to Tairo Tatsuro, where even though he had 2 takedowns and 3 sweeps, he just could not settle in or get that done. Carlos is a dog. He's willing to go to war. He hasn't really been the same since his 4-year layoff in 2017, but he still goes out there and he just absolutely fights his ass off. I think Jake is the cleaner, more technical fighter, but Carlos is the grittier fighter. If Jake can keep it clean, he absolutely wins. But if he gets sucked into a scrap, he can have some trouble. I like Jake to get it done. He's definitely the pick. But if Carlos comes out looking like he did in 2017, he's going to be where the smart money goes. But I am going Jake Hadley here. Then we got Johnny Munoz Jr. taking on Liudvik Sholinian. Johnny Munoz Jr. is a BJJ black belt. He's got decent striking and solid takedowns. He throws everything with 100% effort at all times. But like most grapplers, it's really there just to set up his takedowns. He uses both front kicks and side kicks pretty well to manage range, and he keeps opponents at distance. But he can be a bit slow or lazy with them, which could lead to takedowns. With that being said, his grappling is very slick, both on top and off his back. He averages a little more than 2 takedowns per fight, but only has a 20% takedown accuracy. He's coming off that knockout loss to Tony Gravely, which was the first stoppage loss of his career. Liudvik Sholinian is a very good grappler who comes forward with his wrestling and always looking for a takedown. His striking is just okay, where he will come forward, throw stuff out there, but there's no real power or plan. While he has solid upper body takedowns and trips, if he is taken down, he can be controlled. You can beat Sholinian by pushing your own wrestling game plan or by keeping it standing, and that's exactly what Jack Shore did to him last year. He was able to get 2 of his own takedowns for control, as well as defend all of Liudvik's. Right now, the odds have Johnny Munoz as a 2-1 favorite, and while I understand he's likely the more dangerous fighter because of the BJJ and how hard he throws his strikes, this is a close fight. Liudvik can come forward and work in takedowns. Even if he doesn't get the first few, he's going to continue to shoot, continue working, and when he eventually gets a takedown, he's like a 4th layer of skin, and he's just hard to shake. This is such a tricky fight because Munoz is going to be the better striker, but he can be low volume at times. Sholinian is going to have the better takedowns, but Munoz is the BJJ black belt. I'm going to do a slight lean for Munoz here because he has more ways to win, but this feels like a razor-thin fight for me, and frankly, Sholinian is very live, one of the more live underdogs on this card. Then we've got Jinh Frey, and she's taking on Polyana Viana. Jinh Frey is older, she is well experienced, she's patient, and she doesn't panic when things are getting tough. For the most part, she likes to throw those heavy punches, and that'll set up her wrestling and cage control. She is a heavy grappler who uses her size, strength, and physicality really well. She's coming off a close loss to Vanessa Demopoulos, where she landed more strikes and defended 6 of 7 takedowns. Polyana Viana is a grappler with okay hands, but a very dangerous ground game. She's got 3 wins in the UFC, and every single one of them is by submission, but she's absolutely finish or bust. She's either winning by submission or going to probably lose a decision. She sets a hard pace, but does struggle with the takedowns. She's only has a 33% takedown accuracy and oftentimes relies on her opponents to get it to the ground. This fight's dead even. Frey's going to be the more well-rounded and more experienced fighter, but Viana's going to be the far more dangerous fighter. You can beat Frey with pressure and volume. If you get her backing up, you will likely outpoint her. While Viana has the higher rate of output, and you can see that here in the stats, I think Frey's physicality and the veteran savvy are going to be the difference here. I can see Frey slowing the pace, holding Viana, and avoiding those ground threats. I like Frey to win this fight. I think it's going to be a slow, grinding pace. I'm on the fence if I'm going to place a bet on Frey here. I'll probably wait till Tuesday when all of the prop bets drop, and we usually hammer those. We had some success last week at UFC Vegas 63 with the prop bets. The money line, we got absolutely effed with that Dustin Jacoby decision, but the prop bets hit. We had Dustin Jacoby landing more significant strikes, which he absolutely did, so that paid out. So become a premium member at WeWantPicks.com. It's only $10 a month, and you will have instant access to all of our bets, all of our picks, all that stuff. But the minute we place bets, you'll get an alert on your phone. All you need to do is link your Discord, which is free, and you'll get an alert on your phone. Oh, they placed this bet. And on Tuesday, you're just going to watch Jacob and I go wild, because that's when the props drop and we absolutely start hammering those. And frankly, that's where the real money is in props, especially with a partner like Bet Online, who has 19 different prop bets per fight. 19. So there's some real opportunity there to make some money. Become a premium member at WeWantPicks.com. Then we have Mario Bautista taking on Benito Lopez. Mario Bautista is a high-volume, get-one-to-give-one style striker. He sets a nice pace, and he's always plodding forward while being light on his feet. He's constantly moving, and then he plants those feet, and he lets his hands go. Even though he's constantly moving, he can be hittable, which has gotten him into trouble in the past. He's coming off that win over Brian Kelleher, where he took him down twice and then submitted him in less than half a round. Benito Lopez is a fun striker who uses his length well to manage range and keep a high pace. He sort of has that take one to give one style as well, and that's why he has a negative striking differential, but he does have solid takedown defense, some power, and a willingness to throw down. He spent quite a bit of time at Team Alpha Male, so while he's not really looking to offensively wrestle in the cage, you know he's gotten those looks in the gym. And this should be a really fun fight. Benito Lopez knows how to bring the heat. Mario Bautista's always a fun fight, and frankly, these are two young guys who enjoy fighting. It's always hard making a pick in a fight like this because Benito Lopez has had a 3-year layoff. 3 years. That's a ridiculous amount of time. So when doing these breakdowns, I just have to assume he's that same person, but a little better because he's had time to improve. And if that's the case, then I'm still going to go with Bautista. Bautista's the pick. Benito is wild. He's fun. But that wild come forward style can get him taken down and submitted, or at least controlled. So Mario's the pick. But I try not to bet on these long layoff fights. Then we have the rebooking of Miranda Maverick and Shanna Young. This was supposed to happen at UFC 278, but Shanna Young was hospitalized because of her weight cut. So they rebooked it a few weeks later, and now magically, she's in a cut weight with no issues whatsoever. Yay. Miranda Maverick is a technical striker with solid forward pressure and takedowns. She's very strong. She uses that strength really well. She averages a little more than 2 takedowns per fight, and she's coming off that bounce back win over Sabina Mazo, where she had 4 takedowns, 4 minutes of control time, and a second round submission. But it wasn't just her striking that looked good in that fight. She had fantastic leg kicks and managed that range really well. Shanna Young is a solid boxer who is not afraid to fight in the pocket, and she's got some decent power. She's very tough, doesn't stop coming forward. She's a good wrestler in her own right, but has no takedowns in the UFC and some gaps in the BJJ department. She's coming off her first UFC win over Gina Mazzani, where even though she was taken down, she was able to work up and get the eventual knockout. The way you beat Miranda Maverick is to pressure her, bully her. She does wear damage on her face, which could help with the judges, but the reality is I don't think this fight is standing long enough for Shanna to inflict any damage. There's not going to be any damage. I see Maverick coming forward, working inside, getting the takedowns, and just bullying her way to a win. The exact same thing she did to Mazzo, but likely a little more straightforward because she's not going to have that incredible reach to deal with. I think Maverick is a parlay piece, even at the odds that she is now. She's absolutely going to win this fight. I think these odds are going to be stupid wide come fight night. So I would hop on Miranda Maverick. I certainly have, and you should do the same. Then we have Darrick Minner taking on Shayilan Nuerdanbieke. And you guys who have been following this channel for a while really need to appreciate how well I'm doing with these pronunciations. Because a year ago, this dude's name would have been Sholinian Nuerdanbieke. So really, the progress here is just the levels. It's absolutely incredible. Thank you for coming along for the ride. Anyway, Darrick Minner is just an absolute workhorse. He's a busy striker who wrestles nonstop. He averages almost 3 takedowns per fight with a 72% takedown accuracy. He's tried to clean up his striking as of late, but he was just outstruck 163-56 by Ryan freaking Hall. Ryan Hall just outstruck Darrick Minner in a 3-round decision. He's 2-4 in the UFC, but his losses are pretty credible. He lost to Herbert Burns, who, despite being a quitter, is a very good BJJ guy. He lost to Grant Dawson. He lost to Darren Elkins, and then now Ryan Hall. And the Ryan Hall's a credible loss, just not in a freaking striking match. That's embarrassing. Shayilan Nuerdanbieke is a powerful grappler who likes to come forward with heavy strikes. He's got a bully style where he plots, he throws big, he pushes you against the cage, and then he works in those takedowns. He will transition from one takedown to another pretty well. And when he's on top, he's got solid pressure and ground and pound. He also has a high per fight takedown average of 3, but a low takedown success rate of only 32%. He's coming off that win over TJ Brown where he had 7 minutes of control time and ultimately made the smarter decisions. Darrick Minner is absolutely better than his recent record, and his pace can break a lot of people. But I really like Shayilan to initiate and control the grappling here. I think he can bully his way forward, control Darrick on the mat. Darrick can win this fight with volume on his feet, but I was impressed with Shayilan's fight IQ against TJ, and I'm pretty confident in this pick. I got money line. I got it at minus 200. Darrick Minner has not shown me how he's going to beat Shayilan. You're going to come forward, throw a million strikes? Well, you just got outstruck by Ryan Hall. Ryan freaking Hall. I mean, Jesus Christ. Then we have Jailton Almeida taking on Maxim Grishin. Both of these guys are basically light heavyweights and are fighting at heavyweight. Jailton Almeida is the real deal, and he is a great prospect. He's got powerful hands, incredible grappling. All of his wins are by stoppage, and that's because of his nonstop pressure. He will come in hot. He's going to relentlessly work for those takedowns. Once he's on the ground, he's going to chase submissions, hit you in those transitions. He averages 7 takedowns per 15 minutes and has a 75% accuracy on those takedowns. And that's ridiculously impressive considering most of these stats are coming from heavyweight wins. The dude, obviously he's massive and he looks like a heavyweight, but he's not a heavyweight. He was fighting at 205 and didn't have any issues with that weight cut. Maxim Grishin is a striker who throws in combinations, but he loves sitting on a big right hand. He does an amazing job of waiting and then just rushing forward with a combination when there's an opening. As soon as he senses you're out of rhythm or off balance, he will attack. Like Almeida, he has it bouncing between light heavyweight and heavyweight. He had a close striking loss to Dustin Jacoby, who just won his fight and was robbed by the judges. And then more recently, he had a dominant win over William Knight. His takedown defense is 66%, but William Knight was able to get him down 3 times in that fight. And I love Jailton Almeida in this fight. I am worried about his cardio, though, because we haven't seen anything specific to worry. Like, we haven't seen Jailton Almeida get tired, but Maxim is a tough guy, and I'm not sure what Jailton's going to look like if he's not getting that first round finish like he has been. If this dude has to work hard for 3 full rounds, we just don't know what his cardio is going to be. I have to assume that it's there, but that is the one and only small thing that's going to worry me. Ultimately, William Knight got Maxim Grishin down 3 times. Jailton's going to do more of the same. Likely get a sub or a TKO as well. We haven't seen Maxim finish in the UFC, but we also haven't seen him fight anybody with the grappling credentials of Almeida. So Almeida's going to be the clear pick. I do think he's safe for parlays, but if this line gets crazy, 800-900, then no. I wouldn't throw him in a parlay, but you get him early. You get that line before it takes off, you should be good. There's 3 times where lines take off. The very second that they're dropped, which frankly most of us are going to miss, right? You literally have to be like staring at these books, and the people who hit those lines early, they have bots that tell them when a line dropped and they hit it from there. Normal people who are checking and refreshing aren't going to get the early line. So you're going to miss the initial line surge. Then on fight week, the Monday, today is Sunday, the Monday, the lines start to move. Then again, on Fridays, the lines take off. Those are the 3 biggest moments that lines move. So if you're watching this on a Sunday, you have some time. If you're watching on a Monday, you miss the chunk. But if it's still before Friday, you have a little bit of movement there. That is why I like to say that premium membership is so important. Obviously, we make money off of it. That's how we keep the lights on here. Everybody thinks you just turn on your camera and then you make money on YouTube. There's no money on YouTube. There's none. The ad money is almost nothing, and it costs us a lot of money to do this. We have to pay for the website. I literally have employees that get paid. We have to put the software we're using. All of that costs money. So yes, we have premium membership, and that's what pays the bills. But one of the benefits of premium membership that we're offering is instant access to the bets. We're not going to hit every bet every week. Nobody does. If I did that, I'd be freaking, not Marty McFly. Who was the other dude that took the almanac, went back in time? I'd be him. So obviously, I'm not going to get every single bet right. But over the long term, we are profitable. We will continue to be. And a lot of that has to do with the early bets and hitting lines before they take off. If you get a bet at minus 200 and it closes at minus 300, that value in there, that's profit. because you could have gotten it minus 300 and not made as much. So anyway, if you want to be a premium member, it's $10 a month. We're going to keep it $10 a month forever. My goal is literally to get 10,000 people to be premium members at that price point. And at such an insignificant price point, it's very easy for us to make that worth your money, right? One decent week, bang, a whole year's worth of membership is covered. WeOwnPicks.com, become a premium member. Some asshole's going to comment, oh, more plugs. While some guys are going to be watching this free video and getting my picks for free, these initial bets for free, and then comment about the plugs. And that's the difference between me and you. You're a miserable turd. Jailton Almeida is going to win this fight. He should probably be in your Knockout Kings. He's good for a parlay now. Come Friday, probably not. Saturday, definitely not. Then we have Mark Madsen taking on Grant Dawson. This fight was a short notice fight for UFC 63 for Grant Dawson. It's been re-put together, moved to this card, so it's still short notice for Grant Dawson, but not the full-blown short notice that it was last time. Mark Madsen is an Olympic Greco-Roman wrestler, and previously I would say that his striking was not very good, but he has shown over his last handful of fights that he can hang. He had that 3-round decision win over Clay Guida, where he had 0 takedowns, and now he's got a negative striking differential, but a solid chin and very real power. Even though his striking has improved, he's still absolutely a wrestler who oftentimes needs those takedowns to lock in the minutes and lock in the rounds. Grant Dawson is also a grappler. He averages almost 4 takedowns per fight. Dawson has a great ground game with absolutely relentless pressure. He's got good technical striking, but his clear advantage in almost all of these fights is his wrestling and grappling. He started his career at 145 pounds, but he has been holding steady at 155 without issue. Grant Dawson is stepping up on somewhat short notice here, right? This has been rebooked, so we got an extra week out of it. But that's why this is tricky to break down, because this is wrestler versus wrestler. Mark is, it's not even close who the more accomplished wrestler is, but he doesn't always use it. In that Clay Guida fight, it was a perfect example. You can look at that and you could say, wow, Mark Madsen won a striking match against a striker. But I look at it and say, Mark Madsen got sucked into a striking match when he could have clearly just won with the wrestling. If Mark shows up ready to wrestle like he did in most of his fights or some of his fights, then he's going to get it done. Dawson has a 40% takedown defense. He has been taken down 3 times in the UFC, but Dawson also has takedowns in every single fight, and I'm positive, between the two of them, I'm positive Grant Dawson is going to be the one shooting. I'm going to go with Dawson here. Last week, I liked Mark Madsen. This week, that extra week, I do think that matters. I think Grant Dawson's going to be the better overall striker. I think Grant Dawson, if he shoots, can have some success. So Grant Dawson's going to be the pick here. No bet. I am going to check out the props because, frankly, I think the bet to make is Mark Madsen plus 3.5. He's more than a 2-to-1 underdog right now. And if you don't know what plus 3.5 is, one of our partners, Bet Online, offers plus 3.5 points on the fight. The way that math works is if it goes to the judges' scorecards, you bought yourself a round. So if Mark Madsen loses 29-28, you get paid. If he wins, you get paid. The only way you don't get paid is if he gets shut out 30-27 or if he gets stopped. You get a 2-to-1 underdog like this who you think can win one round, those are great bets. We've had a lot of success with them in the past. Those props drop on Tuesday, so depending when you're watching this, we may or may not have had placed that bet. Go to weonpicks.com/bets. If you sign up with Bet Online using our link, after you make a deposit, we'll send you $50 as a thank you. Then we have Tagir Ulanbekov, and he's taking on Nate Maness. Tagir Ulanbekov is a dominant come-forward wrestler with just okay striking, and that's really there just to set up his fantastic wrestling. He does have a nice jab, and right behind that is grappling with some takedowns. Both of his UFC wins were very grappling heavy with 4 takedowns against Nascimento and 5 against Bruno Silva. This is the little Bruno Silva, not the big boy. But his loss against Tim Elliott, he didn't wrestle nearly enough. He was taken down way too easily in that fight. And while he almost got the stoppage win, he lost because of Tim's pressure. Nate Maness is one of the bigger guys in the division and has plenty of experience fighting pure wrestlers. In his 3 UFC wins, he has taken down in every single one of them. He's coming off the wrestling loss to Umar Nurmagomedov, where he gave up 11 minutes of control time. But before that, he knocked out dominant wrestler Tony Gravely, where he defended 5 takedowns and had one of his own. He's a well-rounded guy with solid submission, solid power, and good kickboxing. He's very tough, and he is willing to slug it out. I looked at this, And before I really did my research, I just saw the two names and I went, boom, Ulanbekov's going to win this fight. Then I rewatched their last fights and I forgot how bad Tagir looked against Tim Elliott. He didn't wrestle enough. He was taken down easily. He didn't offer much on his feet. And if Nate comes forward with any pressure, I think he gets the takedowns of his own, and I think he'll win the same way that Tim did. If Tagir decides to wrestle, he can beat Nate the same way that Umar did. I'm going to go with Nate here because I think he's got the better boxing. I know he's got the better takedown defense, and I think I trust him to stick to a game plan where Tagir just showed us he's not wrestling nearly as much as he should. So Nate is the heavy underdog here. He is the pick. Maybe I'll convince myself to do a half a unit money line. This could also be another plus 3.5 spot where I'll buy around on the judge's scorecard. If he's a 3-1 dog, I can get plus 3.5 potentially at plus money. So, maybe I'm not going to get him at the plus 300 or plus 200, but I might get it at plus 110. And it's much safer because he just needs to win one round. So I like Nate Maness to win. Again, I'll wait till Tuesday for the props. If you're a premium member, we'll get that alert immediately on your phone when we hit those. Then we got a couple of heavyweights. We have Josh Parisian taking on Chase Sherman. Josh Parisian's a come-forward striker with a ton of output. So much volume so that him and my buddy Parker Porter set the UFC significant strike record in their fight. He's not known as a raw power guy, but he does have 11 knockouts under his belt. He's coming off that win over Alan Badeau where he worked in 3 takedowns and 102 strikes in only 2 rounds. Chase Sherman is a good boxer with solid foot movement and speed. He has volume and he doesn't stop throwing hands until the last bell, even if he's tired and slowing down. Outside of his short notice fight with Alexander Romanov, Chase has had solid takedown defense, but he does not have any head movement whatsoever, which is why he's hit with more than 6 significant strikes per minute. He found his power in his last fight, though, which is a 3rd round KO over Jared Vandera, which is even more impressive after Jared's fight against Waldo. His chin held up against Waldo, but not against Chase. So maybe Chase has a little more power than we've been giving him credit for. And I'm happy that Chase Sherman got that knockout in that fight, but I do think that was sort of a one-off situation. Chase is another guy who has always done right by the UFC, which is why he was given a second chance. If you remember, he was cut last year, and then they quickly re-signed him when he stepped in on short notice to save the Romanov fight. I think Josh gets this done. I think he does it with his wrestling. We know Josh can go strike for strike on his feet, and we know he can wrestle when he needs to. He had 4 takedowns in his last 3 fights, and I expect to see more of the same here. Josh is the pick. I'm going to be betting more takedowns landed on BetOnline when that prop drops. So again, props are, there's some solid money to be made in these prop bets. BetOnline offers one that says more takedowns. Who's going to get more takedowns between these 2 fighters? And you just have to pick one of them. Obviously, it's going to be Josh Parisian. Chase Sherman's not going to be shooting takedowns. So 100% it's Josh Parisian. If there's no takedowns or it's even, it's a push, you get your money back. So when that prop drops, I'll hit it. Hopefully it's not like minus 600 or something stupid. Maybe I'll parlay a few of those props together. If you sign up with BetOnline using our link at weonpicks.com/bets, we'll send you $50. And if you want to know the very second we place these bets, become a premium member at weonpicks.com. It's $10 a month. We give you a good prop. That prop hits. You definitely paid for that month and many, many more at that price point. Then we have Neil Magny versus Daniel Rodriguez. This is another rebooked fight. This was originally booked for a few weeks ago, but it was canceled because Daniel Rodriguez had a staph infection in his elbow, I believe. Neil Magny is an incredibly well-rounded and often overlooked fighter. He's very tough and very experienced. He's skilled everywhere, but mostly a busy come-forward striker. But he also has very solid grappling game and averages more than 2 takedowns per fight. He's coming off the loss to Shavkat Rakhmonov, where he was essentially just manhandled before being submitted. Prior to that, he had the controversial win over Max Griffin, where he landed more total strikes, but fewer significant strikes, and only went 1 for 9 on takedowns. Daniel Rodriguez is a very good boxer who picks his shots well. He's got good takedown defense, but not much to offer in the grappling department. His boxing is crisp and his cardio is very good, which he uses as a weapon. He's coming off the controversial win over Jinh Lang Lee at UFC 279 just a few weeks ago. What's most interesting about this fight is the line. And I might be wrong here, but Daniel Rodriguez was the favorite when this was first booked a few weeks ago. He's now the underdog as of the rebooking. And I'm not sure if I missed the line movement, meaning people's money did that, or if he just opened up at a completely different line. And that does happen when the books see the books see the movement. They pull the fight, then they get to redo it, and they come back with a more correct line. And this new line is saying Neil Magny's going to win. And the first time I looked at this fight, I was going Daniel Rodriguez. Then that staph infection. And honestly, that is a factor for me. You cannot train with a staph infection. Nobody's going to train with you when you have a contagious staph infection. And that was just a few weeks ago. And that was already just a few weeks after UFC 280. So this dude's got some weird, he had a very close fight. A lot of people think he lost. A quick turnaround, a staph infection, a quick turnaround after that. There's a lot going against Daniel Rodriguez here. Neil Magny's very good. I think Neil Magny's going to win this fight now. He's more well-rounded overall. I thought Daniel would have the striking locked in, decent takedown defense, but man, he had a serious injury, was off for a year, came back, didn't look great. Now has a staph infection. Like, there's too much going against Daniel Rodriguez here. I like Neil Magny to get it done. Then we got the main event of the evening, our third female main event in 4 weeks. And I my gut is like, oh, make a joke. But honestly, those fights have actually been pretty good. And they all have some sort of title implications. And this one absolutely will, because we have Marina Rodriguez taking on Amanda Lemos. Both of these women 4-1 in their last 5. Marina Rodriguez is the real deal. She's a very good boxer with solid speed and power. If you want to see her power, go back, watch her fight against Amanda Ribas. You want to see her takedown defense? This might not be the greatest example that's ever existed, but go watch her defend 7 of 8 takedowns against Mackenzie Dern. Prior to that, she does have losses to Carla Esparza and Cynthia Calvillo, where she was taken down and she was controlled. Overall, Marina Rodriguez is a complete fighter who can grind out a win or get a finish. She's coming off that very close win over Yan Jinan, where a third-round rally is what locked that in. Amanda Lemos, it's SH at the end, okay? Lemos. When I have to teach you people how to pronounce names, it's a sad day. Amanda Lemos is a Muay Thai striker with fast hands and a ton of power. She does a very good job keeping her fights at that Muay Thai range and avoiding takedowns. She's got a solid 81% takedown defense, and that has only been taken down 2 times in the UFC. Even in her submission loss to Andrade, she wasn't taken down. She defended the takedown, and she was submitted on her feet. She's coming off that submission win over Michelle Waterson, where she was actually a bit of a slow starter on the feet, but she was able to snatch up that guillotine. And this is a tough fight. These odds are pretty wide. Marina's a real big favorite here, and while I do think she wins, that's just wide, this line. I recognize how dangerous Amanda Lemos is. 7 of her 12 wins are by stoppage, and it's a mixed bag between submissions and knockouts. I think the reason for this line is because of Amanda's last few performances. Many people think she lost to Angela Hill. Then she did lose to Jessica Andrade. And even though she beat Michelle Waterson, she did not look great starting off in that fight. I do have Marina winning. I think it's sort of the volume that does it, but she needs to avoid the power, stay technical, and beat Amanda the same way that Angela Hill almost did. So follow that blueprint. So Marina Rodriguez is the pick. Am I going to bet it? Probably not. Amanda Lemos is very, very dangerous, and this may be Amanda Lemos win inside the distance, decision no action bet. If Amanda Lemos wins by submission or knockout, I'll get paid. If she loses a decision, which is the most likely outcome, I'll get a full refund. The bet never happened. I'll get all my money back. So I'm pretty confident in that. We'll see what that looks like when that drops on Tuesday. Don't forget, become a premium member at WeWantPicks.com. It's only $10 a month. It includes the bets, the picks, fantasy plays for Monkey Knife Fight, for Underdog, for Prize Picks, for FanDuel, for DraftKings, and a DraftKings optimizer. The amount of content you get for $10 is absolutely insane. There's some stuff there that you can copy paste, like some of our bets, but there's also tools there to help you make better, more educated decisions, right? We don't know everything, but we can provide you with insight and tools to help you make solid bets. WeWantPicks.com, at the top, click Become a Member. And if you're looking for $50 for free, just go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our betting partners, make a deposit, and we'll send you $50 as a thank you. Guys, like, subscribe, do all the things. We have fresh content 7 days a week. I do these videos on Sundays. Jacobs does his on Mondays. On Tuesdays, Jacob and I go live together. On Wednesdays, Jacob goes live on his own. Thursdays, the Lock of the Week video drops. Friday, all of the individual DFS and betting videos drop. And Saturday, we have Fight Companions. 7 days a week. Like, subscribe, do all the things, and join the free Discord.